And so in this video today, I am going to talk about who J.R.R. Tolkien was. And this is for people who are maybe just getting into the books and are a little bit curious about the man behind it, who wrote it. It's a video that was requested, and so we're gonna go through this here. It's gonna be not too long of a video. Before I get started, I just want to say to those who have subscribed, I thank you for subscribing. And anyone that sees this video, if you like the video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will keep bringing content to you. My channel, as I've stated before, is supposed to be mainly about Tolkien and his works. And I want to keep it that way, but there's other stuff that comes up and that I like to talk about. And I will do that as it happens. Anyway, so let's get into this video. Who is J.R.R. Tolkien? He was born in 1892 in South Africa, Bloemfontein, South Africa, Orange Free State, as it was known then. To English parents. They had moved there because his father was a banker, and he went there for a job. His mother gave birth to another boy, his little brother. Tolkien got sick, and so his mom wanted to take him and his brother back to England, and they moved to Birmingham, into a suburb there. His father died not too long after this. A few years later, his mother would die too. She, converted to Catholicism. Her family shunned her over that, and this affected Tolkien, and he became a very strong Catholic throughout his life in honor of his mother. She would die, of course, to complications due to diabetes, but she taught him language. She read him stories, and that's where his love for all that came from, and that would serve him later in his life. He would go to Oxford University to study English language and literature. First, he studied the classics, Latin and Greek, and moved over to Old English and Norse and all this other stuff that he would later teach himself. First at Leeds University, and then at Oxford for most of his career. He served as an officer in World War I, and that's where he began to write his stories, which grew out of his love for languages, and he created his own. And then he was known as a philologist, which is the study of languages and how they develop, and their whole history. And of course, a lot of this stuff when he first started writing, he was on sick leave with that trench fever that he got. So he didn't spend too much time in the war, just enough. And he began to write what would become the Silmarillion. He would later meet C.S. Lewis. They became really good friends and started a group called the Inklings that just read each other's works and anything else that they liked. And then it was about 1930, as he was grading exam papers, he wrote, "In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit." He wanted to know what a hobbit was, and so he went to discover what that was, and he told stories to his children at bedtime about a hobbit named Bilbo Baggins. It would, of course, become published, become very successful. His publishers asked for a sequel, so he wrote The Lord of the Rings. And then back in the 1960s, it really started to become real popular, especially among the counterculture, the hippies, and all that stuff. He retired in 1959, and then his wife would die in 71, and then he himself in 1973. They were buried together in Oxford, and on their gravestone, Tolkien had them put, of course you didn't know, he had the names of him and his wife and their birth and date and death date, but attached to them were the names Baron for Tolkien and Luthien for his wife. Luthien Tinuviel, the elf maiden, was a big inspiration. Was hugely inspired by his wife. This is one of the earliest stories of the Silmarillion. But yeah, that's just a brief kind of overview of who Tolkien was. And there is way, way more. And if you want to know more, there are 3 books I highly suggest. J.R.R. Tolkien, A Biography by Humphrey Carpenter. This is the official biography. Humphrey Carpenter with Christopher Tolkien later go on to publish some of Tolkien's letters. You have the letters of J.R.R. Tolkien. If you really want to get into his mind, what he thought, what he believed. Another good book for all of this is Tolkien and the Great War by John Garth. Really, really good book. I've only read this one once. The other 2 I've read multiple times. But those are a good source for knowing who Tolkien was, what was in his mind, how he wrote. And it's all very fascinating stuff I've been reading for 22 years, among so many other books that he's written. But, yeah, there you go. That is it for today. I hope that this year and the years coming, more people will get into Tolkien and appreciate it as much as I do. Alright. That is all for today. Until next time, I will talk to you all later. Have a good day.